In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a of pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls? Start saving thousands in interest and fees and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Listen, folks, I'm here to tell you our political system is broken. The two-party system is dead. They have become one and the same.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host. Favorite host.
This is always the killer, the one that just destroys that never Trump argument. Hillary Clinton will fill the Supreme Court with liberals. She'll also appoint federal judges with a liberal bent to them.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Don't let anybody tell you that it's corporations and businesses that create jobs.
Arrogant, sanctimonious, self-righteous, sabotaging Trump.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say, because a lot of times they say, no, the lower 25%, they can't afford. I am going to take care of everybody. I don't care if it costs me votes or not. Everybody's going to be taken care of, much better than they're taken care of now. The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side. ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS. Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Maybe that's what I said.
What realized is that the Bill Kristols of the world, the never Trump people, they were just never serious. They never had any kind of ground game. They never had an actual candidate they could pick.
And in a surprising and disturbing move today, the Libertarian vice presidential candidate just agreed that rifles are weapons of mass destruction and people on the terror watch list should not be allowed to purchase guns. So in other words, the party of freedom is liberty for me, but not for thee. Go figure.
Compromise where you can. Where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right. Even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree.
All right, folks, well, happy Wednesday evening. That's right, we're halfway through. We've got a couple more days before the weekend. And in case you missed it, if somehow you missed it, even I happened to catch this one, and I don't typically watch it anymore. Donald Trump was on Sean Hannity. And oops, Trump did it again. That's right, folks. He flip-flopped so bad it looked like a belly flop from the high dive, and it was terrible. He had people booing him in the audience, and then they backpedaled it 3 or 4 times. Made him realize they probably really shouldn't be booing him on national TV, but then a few people still kept doing it anyway, because the funny thing is, Mr. I'm going to build a wall and I'm going to throw them all out just said the exact opposite. That's right, we're going to talk about that a lot tonight, but we're going to do something a little bit different too, because this isn't the first time he's flip-flopped. So the first thing, just to revel in it, we're going to flash back to all of the other flip-flops that he's been caught in so far. It's going to run for a bit, but we're going to let it play anyway, because I'm sorry, I'm just doing a victory lap. Maybe it's petty of me, but I've been telling people for a year this man was not serious about becoming president, and this basically just proves it yet again.
I'm the only one on the stage that said we should not go into Iraq.
Are you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so. I wish it was. I wish the first time it was done correctly.
I'm very pro-life. I'm very pro-choice.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
There has to be some form of punishment. I am pro-choice in every respect.
She has no natural talent to be president.
She's very talented, and she has a husband that I also like very much. Hillary Clinton was the worst Secretary of State in the history of the United States. Hillary Clinton, how did she do as Secretary of State? Probably above and beyond everybody else. Let's say Hillary is president. Hillary Clinton, I think, is a terrific woman. I think she really works hard, and I think she does a good job, and I like her. I will build the wall, and Mexico is going to pay for it, and they'll be happy to pay for it.
I'm not going to pay for that.
This guy used a filthy, disgusting word on television, and he should be ashamed of himself, and he should apologize, okay? Listen, you mother. I'm going to bomb the shit out of them.
We'll beat the shit out of them.
Political bullshit.
You're not going to raise that fucking price, you understand?
Donald, true or false, you've said the government should pay for everyone's health care?
That's false.
You've never said that.
Everybody's got to be covered.
Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody.
Who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side. He said I was in favor of Libya. I never discussed that subject. I was in favor of Libya. We would be so much better off if Gaddafi were in charge right now. Gaddafi in Libya is killing thousands of people. We should go in. We should stop this guy, which would be very easy and very quick. Stop him from doing it and save these lives. They're here illegally. You take them, they have to go back.
We have to show some compassion.
You're right.
We just can't throw everybody out.
They have
So
to
you're going to split up
illegally.
families.
Chuck,
You're going to deport children.
Chuck, no. We're going to keep the families together. We have to keep the families together.
But you're going to keep
But
them
they have
together
to
out.
go. But they have to go.
How do you throw somebody out that's lived in this country for 20 years?
North Korea has nukes. Japan has a problem with that. I mean, they have a big problem with it. Maybe they would, in fact, be better off if they defend themselves from North Korea. Maybe we would be better off, including with nukes. Yes, including with nukes.
They said, I want Japan to nuke. I want Japan to get nuclear weapons. Give me a break.
But if you say to Japan, yes, it's fine, you get nuclear weapons, South Korea, you as well, and Saudi Arabia says we want them too.
Can I be honest with you? It's going to happen anyway. So it's only a question of time. I'm a conservative person. The Republicans are just too crazy right. I mean, just what's going on is just nuts. Bush says, I do not believe he's a true conservative. These people are stupid.
Do you identify more as a Democrat or a Republican?
In many cases, I probably identify more as a Democrat. The economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans. I don't know anything about David Duke, okay? I don't know anything about what you're even talking about with white supremacy or white supremacists.
What do you see as the biggest problem with the Reform Party right now?
Well, you've got David Duke just joined, a bigot, a racist, a problem. I mean, this is not exactly the people you want in your party.
Wages too high. We're not going to be able to compete against the world. I hate to say it, but we have to leave it the way it is. I don't know how people make it on $7.25 an hour. I would like to see an increase of some magnitude.
Do you believe voters have a right to see your tax returns before they make a final decision?
I don't think they do.
If I decide to run for office, I'll produce my tax returns, absolutely.
There have been many presidents that have not shown their tax returns.
Actually, every single nominee since 1976 has released their tax
but before
returns.
1976...
Nobody was worse to women or abused women more than Bill Clinton.
Look at the trouble Bill Clinton got into with something that was totally unimportant.
She's married to a man who got impeached.
They tried to impeach him, which was nonsense.
He was impeached for lying.
Honesty, Carter once said, I'll never lie to you. Would you say that, the American people?
I would never lie.
When I'm president, I'm a different person. I can do anything. I can be the most politically correct person that you've ever seen. I can be the most politically correct person in the world. And I can be the opposite.
The president has to be a great leader, and you have to lead by example.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay?
Like to punch him in the face.
I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers.
Blood coming out of her, wherever.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay?
I don't know what I said. This guy will say anything.
As far as the truth goes, we've got people in positions of power who I know for a fact are liars. Liars. I don't believe any one of them, not one. I believe Donald.
Mm-hmm. Which Donald do you believe is the question? All right, so you heard it in the middle of the montage. We've played the montage before, but anytime he basically steps in it, we like to trot them out. It's become kind of like the whole top 40 countdown thing. One of these days I'll learn to do the Casey Kasem voice and put a new one together. We're like, and now up next. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, like I said, can't do Casey Kasem. But folks, look, this all ties back to what I said on last night's episode of America Off the Rails. Principles shouldn't matter. They need to matter. The simple fact of the matter is Donald Trump doesn't really have any principles. Not in the way that he should have as someone who's trying to run for president. Because he's running for president in the same way that a used car salesman tries to sell you a car. He's telling you what he needs to do to get you into the car to do the test drive, because he knows if you do the test drive, he's going to be able to talk you into being in love with it, and then they're going to come back and they're going to make you do all this paperwork and all this painful crap, and then you're going to drive it off the lot. 3 days later, all 4 tires are going to blow up, the radiator's going to explode, and the next thing you know, you're like, what happened to this beautiful car? Because you got conned, because you were too busy looking at the fact that he said, check out these nice leather seats and look at these heaters that are going to keep you warm on these cold winter mornings when you're starting your car. And look at how great you look sitting in this seat. But you didn't notice the little tick, 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 because they put a little bit of sawdust in there, so what should have been a tick, 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 when it was running was a tick. And it was drowned out by the sound of the motor. But that trick only works for a while. And that's what's happening to Trump supporters. They've been in the car long enough. They've taken it around the block a few times. They're like, hey, I'm not quite sure this was what I was told it was going to be. And I'm not sure I like this car so much anymore. But I'm kind of feeling stuck with it now. And that's what you're seeing happening all over the place on social media tonight, and it's happened multiple times before. You see Trump supporters who basically, the main reason they jumped on everything that he was saying in the first place was because he was the only one that sounded absolutely unstoppable on his plan of immigration. Even though he didn't really have a plan. He never told them anything specific. He told them wall. And they listened, and they liked it, and it gave them a tingle, so they ran with it. He told them, we're going to make them all leave. But as you heard in the montage, that's not what he said before. Not at all. And it's now not what he's saying again. The interesting thing is, if you listen to him long enough, he's going to give you every position he's ever had, possibly even in reverse order, when it comes to any given topic, because he can't remember what he told you the last time. That's what happens when you spend all of your life lying to multiple rooms of people. If you get around the same people again who heard you say something different the last time, and they remember it, and you're saying something entirely different than you said to them before, they're going to call you on it. That actually happened a handful of times on Sean Hannity's show tonight. People stood up. People booed, and they were like, this is not what you said. It got so bad that Hannity basically had to bring in some other people to talk instead of Trump. And as far as I know, this was pre-recorded, so I don't know if that was the whole idea. I mean, I'm pretty sure those people were supposed to be there at some point, but it just seemed kind of awkward, because all of a sudden Rudy Giuliani and then former governor of Texas, Rick Perry, and somebody else that I cannot remember, came out and they were trying to bail Donald Trump out of the mess that he'd gotten himself in, because the funny thing about everything that he said tonight on the Sean Hannity show was he sounded remarkably like both Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush as it relates to their amnesty plans. Now, this isn't the first time that he's taken something from somebody that was running a campaign against him that he decimated by picking on that one particular topic and saying, I'm going to do this better, I'm going to do it differently, and they're not going to do what they told you they were going to do anyway, so you need to vote for me. Both Rubio and Cruz were talking about a virtual wall and stricter border control. That wasn't good enough for Trump because he saw that it was starting to resonate with people. And he said, well, I'm going to make a physical wall, a real wall, something that they can't get through unless we let them in. And then we're going to take all of them and we're going to toss them out. Except, as you know now, the physical wall is a virtual wall. And now he's gone from we're going to throw them all out until we have to take pity on them to, well, we're going to make sure the bad ones get out, but then the good ones, yeah, we're not going to give them amnesty, and we're not going to give them a pathway to citizenship, but if they stay, they have to pay taxes. How is it that a non-citizen is going to be held responsible to pay taxes? Isn't that exactly what our founding fathers went to war over? Taxation without representation. So you're telling me that people that come into our country illegally are going to be given a different kind of number for identification purposes other than a social security number, and they're going to be forced to pay taxes even though technically they shouldn't be allowed to vote, shouldn't be allowed to do much of anything else. And you expect me to believe that this is your plan and has been your plan all along, and that this is somehow going to work, even though you lambasted both Jeb and Marco Rubio when they had a very similar plan and said that there was no way that they could make it work. But now, obviously, because it's you, Donald Trump, it's the best plan ever, and it's going to be huge, it's going to be great, and America just needs to sit down, shut up, and let you do what you do. Because that's basically what you're telling them. When you lie to them repeatedly and people start calling you on it, and then you point out that the media is so unfair to me. No, they're not being unfair to you. You're lying to people, and you're being caught in the lie. That is not unfair. That is not unfair. You put yourself in the public spotlight. Nobody asked you to go there. How many different things did you lie about in the little almost 6-minute clip that we just played just a few minutes ago? How many things? And you're still doing it now. You kept telling everybody, well, sure, if I actually decide I'm going to run, sure, I'll release my taxes. Taxes? What taxes? I'm not releasing my taxes. I don't need taxes. You don't need to see my stinking taxes. There have been plenty of presidential candidates that haven't released their taxes. Yeah, maybe before 1976. Let me tell you the real reason why he doesn't want to release his taxes, folks. I'm going to go on the record. This is recorded. Let me tell you something that a lot of people don't know. Donald Trump filed a lawsuit against an author who wrote an article about him that was in a group of articles that were published in book form. And in that article, or that short story, he actually outlined a lot of things about Donald Trump. And one of the things that the author put in there was that Donald Trump wasn't worth what he was telling everybody that he was. He was a millionaire, not a billionaire. Donald Trump found out about this article, filed a lawsuit with an attorney, took him to court, got all the way to the point where they were going through the hearing, and the judge finally looked at Donald Trump and said, look, at this point, it's your word against his that you are what you say you are. So if you're that adamant that he's lying about who you are and what you're worth, you need to produce your tax returns. Donald Trump refused. The judge threw out the lawsuit for failure to produce documents that could have vindicated Trump, but he refused. He refused, and therefore he lost his own lawsuit that he brought. Now you tell me there's not something in those tax returns that he doesn't want people to know. And it's not as simple as him writing everything off that he possibly can in his tax return so that his bottom line is a lot different than the lines at the top. Because anybody who's ever run any type of business knows how that works. You write off as much as you can, especially if you're using your own home, your own vehicle, everything else, etc., to get back and forth to work, to run business from home, to work the business from home, so they can actually take those top numbers. So if it was something as simple as him using the tax code to his benefit to make sure that he didn't pay as much taxes, that wouldn't be enough to dissuade the judge. So why was Donald Trump afraid to produce those tax returns? Let me tell you why. Because he's not worth what he tells everyone he is. That's why he won't produce them today. It's pretty simple, folks. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then by God, it's a duck. And this man has been walking around on the stage, strutting around like a rooster, like he owns the place, for months. Because he knows that's how he gets people's attention. But what everybody thought was going to be the cock of the walk just turns out to be yet another duck who doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know what he's selling, and all he's trying to do is keep you on the hook long enough to buy it. And there are so many of you that bought it that now this is who we're stuck with. We have people frantically trying to find ways to put up candidates that are actually worth a damn, and we're out of time. People flocked to the Libertarian Party from the Republican Party for the first time in I can't remember when. We had people that came back from the RNC and immediately changed registrations and started campaigning and basically being libertarian because they were so fed up with the GOP. We had people throw down their credentials on the floor when the establishment, the very establishment that Donald Trump said that he was going to fight tooth and nail when everybody was listening, body blocked for him to keep the people that actually wanted a conservative candidate from being able to call for to be able to do a roll call vote. They body blocked for him, even though to this day, I tell you, I could hear the audio. I wasn't there. I know people that were, that used to do shows here, but sorry, that's still painful to say. I miss those two. But anyway, so, that being said, I heard the audio. The people that were calling for the roll call vote were much, much louder than the people that were opposed to it, and yet the chair at the convention still ruled that the roll call vote didn't carry. There were people that left from that convention and immediately left the Republican Party by its conclusion because they were so outraged by some of the things that they had seen, some of the things that they knew happened, some of the things that still barely anybody talks about, like the fact that people that were opposed to Trump were actually accosted in bathrooms and break areas. There was one, I believe, that was actually physically attacked. Nobody's ever really talked about that. And that's part of the reason why a lot of us that have been opposed to Trump have been opposed to him for a very long time. Because there is this segment of the people that have bought his hype and bought his rhetoric that are so stirred up, they've become no better and probably in some ways even worse than Black Lives Matter. Because they're so angry. And some of them don't even know why they're angry. They're just angry. And they stay angry all the time. And if you don't align with 100% of everything that they say, then by God, you're not a conservative and you don't deserve to still be breathing. This is what Donald Trump has done to the American political system. And I know I say Donald Trump, and I say it a lot, but he's the culminating factor. The simple fact of the matter is, folks, we're going to start a new series on this show starting next week, and we're going to take an in-depth look at recent history, and I'm going to show you some things that have been going on for about the last 20 or 30 years that nobody knew about, because there were all these distractions that were used to make sure that we didn't know. What I'm going to show you is the fact that when it comes right down to it, I'll let you be the one to make up your own mind, But my supposition at this point, and the reason I'm going to start doing this series of shows, it'll probably be every Monday, probably for as long as we can find material. My supposition at this point is we've been being played by our government for a very, very long time. We're going to start with recent history. I'm going to show you things that I've uncovered, things that I've determined, and then I will let you make up your mind. When we run out of recent history, we're going to start taking a look at some historical figures and talk about some things that maybe you don't know about them, like the entire stuff that a lot of folks don't know about what Lincoln's plans were after the Civil War was ended with the now freed black slaves. But for now, one of the biggest things we're going to be talking about is whether or not the Reagan administration was involved in the drug war in the 80s. And if they were, was it Reagan's fault? Was it someone in the administration? And how did we finally find out? And what was going on around the time that the information became public that was one of the biggest distractions in the 90s? And that's going to be Monday. But for tonight, we're going to be talking about Trump. And then tomorrow night, we'll be back on with Jen and Rick, and then I'll be back with you live. And then Friday, I have the Friday edition of America Off the Rails with my guest co-host, Dan. You may know him on Twitter as 1911_fan, I think, but I always get his Twitter handle wrong. And we're actually going to be calling out the Trumpers. Now, starting tomorrow night, I'm going to give out the number while we're on the air with Jen and Rick. Going to give out the number again tomorrow night, and it's also going to start being placed effective Friday night and pretty much every night thereafter. It's going to be in the comment section on the Spreaker page for the show that's live. So if you can't find the number, you don't hear it given out, you've got something that you want to add to the conversation, the phone lines are going to start being open, folks. We're going to start trying to make this more interactive as we continue to build and grow. It's up to you if you call in. You can also shoot me a link on Twitter if you've got something you want to talk about. Just shoot me something to my @. We've got a chat room. Right now it's kind of empty, but my good buddy Ron is almost always in there with me, especially lately, and it's just great. All right, so we're going to take a break. It's time to pay some bills. When we come back, we're going to keep up with the contradiction that is Donald Trump, and we're going to finish out the show with a few other things that I wanted to talk about in the vein of that. And tomorrow night, we'll be back again with Jen and Rick, and then this show, America Off the Rails, and I'll be back with you here in just a couple of minutes. We just need to pay some bills before I forget.
Stay tuned. Things are going to get real interesting. You're listening to the Spark Radio Network.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All right, so at this point, I know I'm pretty much preaching to the choir, because if you're listening to this show, you're probably not a Trump fan, but we're hoping that maybe, just maybe, we can get some attention for some folks that are pretty mad this evening over what he said. So we're going to play a couple of different things here. One of the things that I actually pointed out on Twitter when he was yet backpedaling again was the one time the man was ever honest was when he told everybody that everything is negotiable. Not very many people heard it, so in case you've never actually heard him say it, we have the audio.
Congressman Chris Collins from New York endorsed you. He's a member of your congressional leadership team. He's against mass deportation of illegal immigrants. He's against a temporary ban on Muslims. He says that when you become the nominee, and then his idea when you become president, that you are going to be more nuanced than you are on the trail. What do you say to that?
Well, we're going to see. Look, everything, honestly, is going to be up, and we have to negotiate. I can't make these decisions myself. We have Congress.
So you're open to moving.
We have to deal with a lot of people. I mean, I can't just take executive orders like Obama, and it's me and lots of congressmen and lots of senators and lots of everything. So I would say that certain things will be changed, certain things will be stayed exactly the same.
So there you have it, folks. Everything is negotiable. The one thing that Donald Trump has said from the get-go that was probably the only true thing that he said was the simple fact that he basically tried to tell you I can tell you all of these things that you want to hear, but I still have to close the deal at the end of the day, even if I am president, which means I have to go back to other people, tell them what my ideas are, and either get them on board or find a way to make it change enough where they are on board. So what you're seeing, folks, is what you honestly should be seeing. It's someone who's realized that their position was rather unpopular, and they're moving on it. I don't fault him for that. What I fault him for is for him making himself out to be political Superman, and that he didn't have to budge from the speeding train, and he didn't have to worry about the bullet that was headed straight for him. And who cares if they're about to drop a building on him, because he can just jump over it. That was how Donald Trump portrayed himself during the primary campaign. No matter what, he wasn't budging. Everybody else could shift and make changes, and then he would call them out for making those changes, but he didn't budge. And that was how he sold himself to the American people. I'm the guy standing here fighting for you, even when people make fun of me, and this is what I'm telling you we're going to do. He was even brash enough to tell people, and I know I've said this a million times, but it's still completely stuck in my head because it contradicts everything that he just said. Because on a debate stage in front of the world, he told everyone that would listen that he was going to make our military violate Geneva Convention rules, target the terrorist families as combatants, and do harm to them. And why did he say that he was going to make them do these things and that they were going to do these things? It was because he was Donald Trump and they're going to do what he says. But yet he just told you here, well, I can't do everything on my own. I can't do it through executive order, which is true. I'm glad that he recognizes that. Sadly, there was another president who said he recognized it until he started figuring out that he could do things through executive order, and then even Saturday Night Live started making fun of him for it. Yeah, well, Ron, he also says he doesn't have tiny hands, so I'm not going to repeat what just got said in the chat room, but I'm sure you can probably tell from my response. Okay, so something else that he said that nobody's really talking about, and it's one of the first things that kind of scared me, and we're going to let this one run in its entirety. It'll run for about a minute and a half.
$50 billion that we give Iran, plus their, we release their hostages and they give us nothing. This is shameful. Our country should be better than that. We need to be first, and what we need is a great negotiator so that our country is first.
Do you agree with Donald Trump that you need to be a little bit establishment?
He didn't say we need to be a little bit establishment. What he said is you need to put people in a room to get things done. What we need to do is to fix it. People are so tired of the
let's get to be a little establishment.
If you'd like me to answer the question, I'll be happy to. What he said is you need to put people in the room so that you can get a deal done. Life is about deals. Putting 2 people in a room or 4 people in a room and making sure you can talk through it so that it is best for the country, that's what our country needs. You need a strong leader to get those things done. We need to negotiate better. We need to have better trade deals with our partners. We need to have a better deal when it comes to the economy.
Because he's a strident guy. No, you cannot have that. I told you, he's trying to paint me as part of the establishment. And somebody said, establishment? Well, how come Sarah Palin just backed up establishment? And you know what? There's a point at which let's get to be a little establishment. We got to get things done, folks, okay? Believe me, don't worry. We're going to make such great deals, but at a certain point, you can't be so strident. You can't not get along.
Do you agree with Donald Trump that you need to be a little bit establishment?
He didn't say we need to be a little bit establishment. What he said is you need to put people in a room to get...
Let's get to be a little establishment.
You literally said, let's get to be a little establishment.
If you'd like me to answer the question...
Let's get to be a little establishment.
So again, the very man who has been decrying the establishment this entire time, attacking them at every turn, basically any candidate who has had anything negative to say about him has been declared part of the establishment. But you hear him in his own words tell everyone that would listen that if he got the nomination, he was going to have to basically become at least a little bit like the establishment. And you saw it start happening at the RNC. Again, the very people that he was decrying, the ones that everybody said that didn't want him to get the nomination, they were terrified of him as the presidential nominee, They body blocked to make sure that he got there. If you missed that, I'm not sure how much more of a map I can draw you to make you understand that we have been getting played. It's been happening for a very, very long time, and it goes back to a lot of what I was talking about on last night's episode when we were talking about the fact that everything's about branding anymore. There's no stances, there's no values, it's all about branding. It's who looks better in their shiny suit with their shiny teeth, with their shined up shoes, and who's gonna look the most presidential when you put them in a room. That's all anybody cares about anymore. Because, and it goes back to other things that people talk to me about all the time. They're like, Rick, why do you write such long articles? Nobody wants to read long articles anymore. Why do you put your whole shows up on YouTube when nobody's going to sit through an hour-long video on YouTube? You should put them up in 5-6 minute segments. And I could, and I probably will. But I'm tired of having to dumb things down for the American people just because they don't want to take the time to learn anything anymore. That's part of the reason why we are where we are. We have become the media soundbite generation. If it's not something that we can hear and digest and understand in 3 minutes or less, we're not interested. It's honestly one of the reasons why I'm surprised that talk radio still does very well. And then I remember our major demographics, because even on shows like this that aren't always on terrestrial and only are on terrestrial on certain days, etc., we can still see the breakdown of the people that are listening to the show, whether they're male or female, basic age ranges, etc. And it's pretty staggering to think about the fact that the only people on average that listen to shows like this or other talk radio shows are typically folks that are already past at least their mid-30s. And that's basically just our demographic, is usually from about 30 on, usually hold a fairly steady job, fairly median income. So in reality, talk radio has become nothing but, in a lot of ways, preaching to the choir. At least until recently, because now we've seen talk radio hosts that went all in for Trump that are standing around going, I don't really understand what just happened. I think the only two that honestly grasp everything that they've done and understand it and have gone all in and just don't care that he keeps backpedaling on everything are Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham. I don't know what Laura Ingraham is getting out of the Trump campaign for her undying, unwavering, unfaltering, and absolutely sickening loyalty to the campaign. I'm pretty sure I know what Sean Hannity was supposed to get out of the deal. Because let's not forget, if you go look, you can find snippets of him talking about trying to convince Donald Trump to run in 2012 and being in his ear in 2011. So, I mean, he's been trying to do this for a while. So my submission when it comes to Sean Hannity tonight is I think he's been trying for a very, very long time to get a presidential candidate that would appoint him as White House press secretary. I think that's one of the reasons why he's been so heavily in Donald's ear. I think it's one reason why any chance he gets when Donald Trump strays from message, Sean tries to steer him back on by, well, you mean you're for this, right? Or, well, you're not for amnesty, are you? I mean, look, I understand Sean Hannity's not an attorney, but there's such a thing as leading your witness. That applies to folks that are doing radio interviews too and TV interviews, because when you're putting all of the words in your person's mouth and all they have to do is say either yes or no based on your voice tone, then you're not getting the American people an honest answer. And that's why the Trump campaign continues to fall apart. That's why no matter who they fire, who they replace, this campaign is going to continue to fall apart, because he is a used car salesman in a very nice suit trying to sell the American people a lemon, and they're starting to see it. Why do you think when you go into a car lot, the salesmen are always in such a hurry to get you to the point where you are looking at a few cars, you make a decision, you make the test drive, by the time You've got the key for the test drive. They've already started the credit checks, etc. So by the time you come back, they've already figured out whether or not you're going to be able to get approved for it. They've got the paperwork to the point where it's basically ready for you to go over if you have been approved for it, and they try to get you in and out as quickly as possible. Everybody says, hey, well, that's great. They're trying to be more understanding. They're trying to make things more convenient. No, not in a lot of instances, because they know the more time you have to think about it, the less likely you are to buy the car. With Donald Trump, it's exactly the same thing. As long as he stays on message and stays on point and kept telling you, hey, I'm going to build a wall, and I'm going to do these things about immigration, and I'm going to do all these other things that are going to be great for you. I'm going to bring jobs back to America. Let me tell you something, folks. The man claims, and I say claims because at this point I don't believe it anymore. Actually, you know what? Hang on. I have something that I keep forgetting that I have. Hang on. We're going to let you hear in his own words what he seems to think that he's worth. So give me just a second. All right, so you ready? And then we'll actually talk about what I was going to talk about in regards to this.
$8,737,540,000.
So that is Donald Trump's net worth as of about this same time in 2015. That was right around the same time that he really got serious about trying to run, started bragging about how much money he was worth. Now, let me tell you one of the things that has driven me completely crazy about Donald Trump. If he was really worth
$8,737,540,000,
and he seriously was wanting to do something about bringing jobs back to America, he doesn't have to run for president to do that. He could stop buying his ties from China and making his suits in Mexico. He could start a clothes factory, for God's sake. Even if he's basically taking his own stuff off the rack, he's still bringing jobs back to America. But he doesn't do that, and he hasn't done that. Why hasn't he? If he's so keen on bringing jobs back to America, why do his companies continue to hire illegal aliens? If he's so keen on bringing jobs back to Americans, why again do his resorts continue to hire illegal aliens? If he's so keen on bringing manufacturing back to America, why hasn't he done something to start working on bringing manufacturing back to America as someone who supposedly has a net worth of
$8,737,540,000?
Look, folks, maybe I'm just a simple guy, but my granddad always used to say, put your money where your mouth is. If Donald Trump was really that concerned about bringing jobs back to America and that concerned about minimum wage, as he seems to be now, because he's talking about, I don't understand how anybody can live on $7.50 an hour, when a few months ago it was like, we're going to have to leave minimum wage where it is or we're going to lose jobs. I wonder how many people in his own organizations he pays minimum wage. That would be an interesting number to try to see if you can find. But that's my point, folks. If he wanted to do something about all of these things, according to the stuff coming from his mouth, he has the ability to affect a lot of change. And that's honestly part of what I have a problem with. I am a capitalist, and I will tell you that from day one, for as long as you listen to the show, you need to understand I am a capitalist. But if he really does have that much money, isn't there a time, and this is just me, I'm not holding anyone else to that standard, but if I had that kind of money, do you know the change that I could impact with that kind of money? The people's lives that I could make better with that kind of money and still be comfortable? Still not have to worry about anything for another day in my life. If he's worth that kind of money, folks, he could take about $10 million of that money, split it into 100 separate accounts that are all insured by the FDIC for $100,000. Each time an interest payment rolls out, they throw that into another savings account. And it just continues to accumulate interest and interest and interest and interest and interest. And you use that interest that accumulates, because here's the thing nobody tells you. If you have lots of money, they have these things called high-yield savings accounts, where you're basically getting compounded interest instead of the crap that we get. So if you have that kind of money and you've got it spaced out between 100 different accounts, you could live off of the I guess it would be for about 10 million. It would be 100 different accounts. You could live off of the interest that was accumulated and never touch the money and still be comfortable as long as you weren't being completely extravagant. This is one of the things that has annoyed the crap out of me when it comes to the preachers that are all about the not necessarily faith, and I don't, for the moment their whole racket escapes me, but the prosperity guys. Somebody like Joel Osteen has a house that you could fit like 12 of mine in. Look, again, I'm a capitalist, but as someone who is supposed to be following the teachings of Christ, if I had a house that I could fit 400 people in, the house would either have 400 people in it, and it wouldn't be a house, it would at that point be a shelter, or I would sell it off, buy a smaller house, and do something good with the money. But that's the problem, folks. Everybody talking, you know these old the new shows with all the old folks that are like hoarding stuff? We have a good group of folks that have lots of money, and that's what they do. They hoard the money. You know, and the thing is, a lot of those things have changed over history. Over time, those things have changed. It used to be that a man would build a fortune, take care of his family, make sure that his family had the things that they needed, and then upon his death, instead of passing it to family and friends, it would be used to build schools, libraries, all of the things that the community needed. Because there used to be a time when a man's fortune was a man's fortune, and we know we can't take it with us when we go, so it wasn't passed from father to son to or father to daughter. It was used to make the community a better place, because it was expected that man's children would go forth and do the same. That's part of where we started having major problems. When you started having children that were growing up as entitled because they knew that their parents had amassed all this wealth, or their grandparents had amassed all this wealth, and they weren't going to have to do anything because at some point it was going to become their wealth. And that's how we wind up with people like Donald Trump, who passed themselves off as a blue-collar billionaire when, truth be told, he's had a silver spoon his entire life. He talks about that wonderful first loan, that wonderful first small loan that he got from his father, the amount of $1 million in 76, 77, I think, if memory serves. Do you know what that money would be worth today in today's standards? Considering everything's about 10 times more expensive, you tell me. Alright, so believe it or not, folks, we are out of time. I'm going to have to make room. If you're listening to us live on KLRNradio.com, stay tuned. The Rhino Report is up next. If you're listening to us on one of the other affiliates, whether it be AMFM247.com, SHR Media, the Red Nation Rising, the Liberty Channel, or iHeart, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iTunes, etc., check your listings to find out what's next. And of course, if you're listening to us on one of the other ones that's on demand, you can kind of pick what you want to listen to next. But at this point, folks, I am out. I will be back with you live tomorrow night for a double shot. This is America Off the Rails. Until I see you again, stay safe, take care, and God bless.